Welcome to a special month-long series of recoverHER, where we dive deep into the transformative world of psychedelics and their potential for healing mental health. In this series, we'll explore how substances like psilocybin, MDMA, ayahuasca, and ketamine are reshaping the landscape of mental health care. From anxiety and depression to PTSD and addiction, we'll uncover the groundbreaking science behind these therapies, the role of spirituality in healing, and the practical tools for integrating these experiences into everyday life. Join us as we journey through expert insights, personal stories, and the profound potential psychedelics hold for mind, body, and spirit healing.
Which way is right? But if there's one thing that
I'm excited for today's episode of recoverHER podcast because I have one of my very best friends who I absolutely love and adore, and have loved and adored you for well over 20 years. And isn't that crazy that we've known each other?
I know.
Maybe longer than 20 years.
So many synchronicities over those years.
Yeah.
I won't see you for a while, and then we'll arrive, same outfit or something.
Right.
That like we just keep coming together. And then, people have always said, "Oh, you look like Heather. Or you remind me of Heather."
Wow, yeah.
Or, the same, to me. So it's just great.
Yeah, amazing. And yes. I'm so grateful that you're in my life, Julie Belfer.
Thank you. And I love Tracy just as much.
Thank you. I know I was late on
Light of
scene,
my life.
but
You were late on the scene.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
I'm here now
I know,
with
but
you.
you came in hot.
Hot.
Came in hot.
a wrecking ball. Right.
I love that you guys are doing this.
It's fun. You may have had something to do with it. Maybe a little motivator, watching you and Demi fly on your podcast.
It's so fun, right?
It is,
Yeah.
and you're very good at it. You guys have brought on some amazing guests on. Tell me a little bit about your podcast.
So we have over a year's worth, over like maybe 60 episodes at this point, and it's just been a great experience for us. It kind of was born out of our own psychedelic journeys, and then the shares that would happen afterwards with people, and we just found that we had the most incredible conversations. They were so much fun, and then I actually had a journey one night, and it just came to me. I said, "We're going to do a podcast."
Wow.
And we're just going to be telling let people tell their stories because they want to tell their stories and of healing and just being able to explain these out of body, otherworldly experiences and how fantastical they are, yet meaningful and catalyzing. So it's been a really great experience.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah, your guests are phenomenal. So thank you guys for getting that information out there and having such beautiful conversations that are really important.
Thank you.
I have known you, as I said in the intro, for over 20 years. And I love that we kind of, as you said, come and go out of each other's lives. And whenever I get to see you, you're just like a warm, yummy, beautiful hug every single time I see you. And that's what your friendship means to me. It means an awful lot. I know I've come to you at different points of my life too, and just laid it all out there. I felt you're such I trust you so much, and I respect you so much. So
The feeling is the
clearly,
same.
I've had moments when I've just had a calling. Go to Julie, find Julie. So you've always been there whenever I've needed you, and I really thank you for that.
Thank you for trusting me with your heart and coming over and seeking me out and sitting with me and sharing everything that you have. And we've seen each other through a lot of changes
Yeah, we have.
in our life.
We sure have, which is wonderful because when you get to know someone and very intimately like you and I have, you do watch your life change and matriculate through all of the ebb and flows that life brings us, right? That it's not just this ongoing even keel of happiness and stoic. Let's one or the other. But when I think of you today, in all of the different versions and chapters of the lives you've lived, I have never, and I've told you this before, that I experience you and I witness you as being the most alive that I've ever seen you in my entire life. So this version of you, I'm utterly grateful for.
Thank
in my heart
you.
and soul. Yeah.
Thank you. It makes me so emotional. Yeah, I was just thinking how like I've known you for so long, and then, you know, you and I, though we didn't have an idea of each other's pain or what we were going through. It was only like afterwards we'd come together and we'd share our hero's journey or what we've been through or what we're going through at that time. But yeah, I definitely went through a long period of time where I felt like I didn't have a lot of life force coming through me. And that's not because of anything outside of myself.
Right.
No, it wasn't because of, any other person. But it was just, I wasn't like creating for myself. I was kind of like just a witness in life to everybody else. And I didn't really know anything different. I was very dissociated at that time. And so it was just sort of like even keel. But it was very low vibe, even keel. And I remember people would say, "Oh, Julie's cool. Nothing gets to her. You know, she's so even keel." But at that time, it was like I wasn't really feeling a lot of, sadness and pain, but I wasn't really feeling a lot of joy either. I was just like really coasting. And then now as you see me, it's like I am so excited to feel everything. Good and bad, and like just have it take me on the ride that it is. And I wasn't numbing myself with medication either at that time. That was just my way of dealing, or just
The pilot light out is what I like to call it. When my pilot light is out, it's just
yeah.
Was it protective, do you think?
I think so. I mean, I think, maybe it was to some degree my ex-husband, who's really a great guy, and we're the greatest of friends.
Yeah.
I love him. But he was really up and down, and he
Right.
is. And he has just got like a ton of energy. And I think like after years, my way of coping was just like to stay in the middle.
Yeah, that
just
makes
like,
sense.
I don't know what's going on. I felt
Right,
like I was
right.
in the middle, and he would be like running around, high and low, and fun. I mean, like he's a really fun person, but I think I just kind of like went the opposite way. How you can kind of do that to sort of, you think you're balancing each other, but I was just sort of went into this no man's land.
Right.
Or no woman's land, where I was just sort of,
So you went to the eye of the hurricane, where in my experience inside of a relationship that you're well aware of, I would let that other person spin out. I always said that as long as I don't jump inside of his tornado, then I'm fine. So I would stay kind of on the periphery of it all.
Yeah.
And shut down or medicate or do whatever I was doing to disassociate. I believe you said the word was.
Yeah.
And I had my ways of doing that too. But what that is it's a disconnection, definitely.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when we think about relationships, it's very common for us to talk about roles, like what roles are getting assigned. And typically when people think of that, they're thinking of it in terms of you take out the garbage, or you make the money, or you do whatever like the actual physical role is. But there's very much emotional roles that we take on in our relationship. And I like what you just shared, in that both of you just shared, in that there has to be room inside of a relationship for us to experience all of our emotions. And so when there's an imbalance, right? Like if one person's always angry, or one person's always sad, or one person's always chaotic, the other partner often has to clank off those parts of themselves in order just to, exist inside of.
Right. Otherwise, the boat's going to tip over.
Right.
If everyone's going to one side, we're going to capsize. Yeah. Yeah. I think my biggest regret, though, of like those years of being like just kind of coasting was that, like, I look back now and I realize like I really didn't model the ability to express myself well to my kids. And therefore, like, I, can see that in them. And so, this is what I do now is I just try to express myself, and like just be what I wasn't at that time for them.
And when you say express yourself, what does that mean? Does that mean like, how are you expressing yourself? Does that mean verbally? Does that mean like in how you're presenting yourself? Does it mean?
Yeah, I think for sure. Like I didn't even know my feelings.
Yeah,
I couldn't even put a word to my feelings. I probably could think like, yeah, good. I'm good. I'm good. And so I wasn't like really descriptive of how I was feeling or enunciating or asking for things that I needed and that kind of thing. So I think that's what I mean.
And since I'm coming in on the second half of you, I'm like, I can't even.
I know.
Fathom.
I know.
Well, when you say that, I think about the way that you were able to express yourself, what I was watching and seeing. You have, and I've told Tracy this so many times, that you expressed yourself so beautifully in your creativity and the way that you welcomed me into your home really early on.
Thank you.
When I was 26 years old, I remember coming over to your house and you just were so beautifully welcoming, and you created, I just was talking about this recently, like inside of your house, south of Camelback, there you utilized doors on the walls. Prior to your grand tour days, you owned a store.
Cubbies. Are you talking about the cubbies for the kids?
Oh my God! And I just was like,
I think that was a Kara Clancy thing, but we
you
like turn a closet
creatively.
into like a kid's cubby. And that was really funny. Yeah, I really did love, and I still do love interior design. And so that was an outlet
So
for my
creative.
creativity.
so if you couldn't express your feelings verbally, or you didn't even know, because I
Yeah.
didn't either. I was happy or stoic. It was one or the other. And when I was stoic, it was kind of like you described, the pilot light was just out. So I do find it beautiful that within you today, I see all of the spectrums of color, the full range of human emotion.
Yes.
And if I see that in you, then it must be occurring within me too.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. Mirrors for each other. And I always tell you if I'm working with them, they're like in a stuck place, I'm like, you can do this. If I can do this. If I can
Right.
pull myself out of a place where I felt like I was just like a drain on life, a drain on everyone else.
Yes.
And I had no gifts, nothing.
And you are one of the most
Well, yeah,
beautiful,
thank you.
talented,
Oh my gosh, thank you.
internally beautiful people that I've
I feel
ever
it
met.
now. I feel it now, but I'm saying like I was coming from a very
I know.
low place. So if I can do it, I'm always telling I'm like, you've got this. You can do this, and I'll help you.
Yeah. That's so freeing for people to not only see, but also, to really believe when someone else is able to reflect it back to them. And I think maybe for people listening, they might think, who don't know you, they might think, oh, she was having challenging times, and then all of a sudden life got really good. And that's what allowed you
To wake up.
to and that is in fact not the story.
No. So kind of like, I was along with just having this really low creative energy flowing through me, I was developing these autoimmune diseases that suddenly, because I really wanted to know, I was like pulled myself out of like, I want to know. Like I had this miraculous autoimmune healing overnight, physical healing that doctor said like, there's no way this can happen. Anyway, that happened. And then that was like, what is going on here? That was the first door that made me open all the other doors and then just keep going. But yes, so that was like, I was going through a divorce. I had to be by myself because I had no idea who I was, what I felt like. There's like that old Julia Roberts movie where she's like the escapee bride and she's like, how do I
Runaway
make my
bride.
eggs? How do I like this? How do I like that? And I had no idea what I liked.
What do you like?
And like what I felt like in like rather than in relation to other people. Because I could like chameleon. I could take on anybody.
Tell me about that chunk of your life, the finding out what Julie, what you liked.
Well, that was like at first it was hard, and this is what I tell people like when they're like giving them this gift of like falling in love with themselves, getting to know themselves. There's a real uncomfortable part because you're like, what am I missing? I'm forgetting to do something, and that's everybody else. It's all the distractions, that you think about, and so it was uncomfortable, and then and then once that subsided, I started to really like it and kind of get in touch with like what my internal dialogue was, and then learn to speak really kindly to myself, like learn to get along with myself, learn to cut myself a lot of slack, like a lot of grace.
What if I could jump into your mind, at that time, what was the OG internal dialogue before it shifted?
Just like a drain, like I was a drain, like it was like a wasted life. It was almost like I'd already wasted my life, and I was like just clicking the time for the rest of it.
Right.
I'll get it on the next ride.
Yep.
Like it was like I've already come too far. I can't get going now. And I remember watching people like who would reinvent themselves again and again and again through life, and I'm like, I can't even do it once. How are they doing this all the time? Where is this coming from? This ability? I mean, it was like astounding to me. So it was just like. It was more like I was a self-sabotager. I would like, maybe like I could work up a little bit of gumption and get up and go, but then it was sort of like the other thoughts would be like, I would never cross the finish line with anything. So that was kind of like, that would then prove itself out again and again, which then reinforce that belief, and so that's kind of what that whole previous thing. And it was all happening inside my head. No one would know this was happening. You have no idea what's going on inside people's heads, what their internal dialogue is. But I would say the thing that turned everything around for me was psychedelics.
Okay.
That was like, I was giving myself a lot of grace before that, but I couldn't hear the love in my voice until I tapped into that. That was like, a vein of gold.
How did you get there? What opened that door for you?
It was like a night like any other night. It was. So it's a group of friends, and they offered some MDMA, and I had done that in my 20s. I grew up in Texas. That was a thing. I knew what the experience was, and it was like the very beginning of COVID, and I was like, yes, I will do that. But I was different. This was the time when I was really delving within, so I was different. So it affected me completely differently than it ever had. It was like something
much more
else.
Introspective.
Yeah. Even though I was, in a social situation that first time, I was having this entire internal dialogue. Like this beautiful voice in my head was talking to me and explaining to me what was happening in the room with all these people. And I was watching these people's faces change, and I was understanding what they were feeling, which everyone was feeling, what I was feeling. And this internal dialogue, it was like I was being educated even. It wasn't, it was like they were telling me all the things they'd been wanting to tell me, but they couldn't get through to my head before. Yeah. It was like, okay, now we've got your attention, listen. And so I Ubered home from that party, and I just went within and I listened to this voice inside my head that was like, thank you for like turning me your attention. And then it lasted for like 3 hours, and it just changed the trajectory of my life completely.
What do you think that voice inside your head is?
It's me. It's me.
Damn straight, that's
it's
you.
me, and the beauty of it is now that's my voice.
Yourself. Right.
That's my voice. Like
and
there's
yourself and listen to
embodiment. I like embodied what I was perceiving as another part of me. in spirit. And now it's just like, we're one.
Yeah.
Like I'm walking in life with this voice it's just like, it's totally changed how I experience the world. I can't recommend it highly enough.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
I mean, just what I know what it's done for me. And, there's other stories for people who it's helped change their life. And, I treat it really, I approach it really ceremonially, like with reverence. And like I do everything, but I also have fun with it. The one thing I know is that these energies, these dimensional energies that are there trying to remind us of who and what we are and the love that we are, they are fun.
Yeah.
We're the ones that are taking everything so
Right.
seriously, making everything so serious. So
true.
sometimes I do have fun with it. Sometimes I just want to dance, party, and celebrate who I am in my life. I'm not lighting, the candles every time.
No.
Yeah, I think that's an important reminder, because I think for healing, we're so oftentimes we're focused on the heaviness or
It's an important distinction to make, because you can have both. There's space
joy.
for it all.
Yeah, we need to have joy and fun.
love.
That's part of the healing process for sure.
It's so imperative. It's so imperative because it's just like, it's like a lens. It colors things.
So I'm curious from your experience and your experience as well. So I've had those moments too of meeting her, myself.
Meeting her.
And but my other parts are still alive and well, and now I actually have fun with them.
Yeah.
So meaning I can be having a feeling or a thought, and I'm getting into that negative self-talk, and it seems so far away. Like I can make that distinction, meaning I know that that's not me, her talking. It's just these parts, and they sometimes seem so comical and ridiculous now, whereas before when I was in that zone. And so it's wild to hear Julie talk, and I know I'm thinking of so many of our conversations in that I've been in that space for so many years that you described, that void, prior to your awakening. And I know from things that you've shared similar things. So I'm curious, do you ever have those original parts come up and try to fuck with you?
Take you back.
What I have found is that I never get rid of anything. Okay, I am all of everything that I've ever been.
Yep.
Yes.
It's still all within me. But because I'm this expanded embodiment of myself, there's room for everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's room, and it's like I'm looking at this high ground, we're okay. We're okay. What seemed so egregious and terrible and big and huge before is you're just part of me. You're part of we're.
Right.
It's an experience, and I feel differently about it. So, a teacher I once had is you never get rid of anything. You just change what it means to you. And so, these aspects of self. But I will catch myself doing something, and I'll go, oh God, Julie, listen to you. That is hilarious, And
It's so funny sometimes, right?
Yeah. And so it's just more let's all get in there now. I'm no longer holding myself separate. I was talking to a friend who works with her parts, and it's they're I'm you see them as yours, but not you.
That's
You
right.
see this higher aspect of you as yours, but not you.
Yeah.
It's
Bring them all into one.
Yes, exactly. You're the only one holding yourself separate.
Yeah, there's more, and there's more. You can be more of an observer of your parts versus the enmeshment, and so much of what you're describing. We've had different paths with the MDMA, but in terms of the MAPS training that I went through. So much of what they talk about is exactly this experience of what you're describing. So really having the time and place to be with your inner healing intelligence. And that shit is real.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
Very real.
what I tell people is like, just imagine, that all of the love that you seek, that all of the wisdom that you seek is within you, literally overflowing from within you, waiting for you to give it your attention, waiting for you to give it your intention. Does that excite you? Does that make you curious? Like, and that's really all you need, is to be curious.
Because it's all there for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, also wondering, as you were making these shifts in terms of the people, places, and things orbiting around you, were there people that were pissed at you, that wanted you to stay the same, that weren't vibing on your change?
This is the best part. I'm telling you, this is the best part, because everything was changing inside of me. I didn't have to do anything outside of me to change the outside of me. And that part was fucking fascinating. And like, I literally just have to shift inside,
So good.
and then outside changes. And so I'm not like, wasn't like getting up on a soap stool and going, everybody listen to me. Because it doesn't work that way.
No.
The change happens I feel differently. I think differently.
Right.
I then experience the world differently. And then what like was so like even opposite of that question was like, as I was transforming, my world was transforming. So like people were showing up differently for me.
Yeah.
I think I've said this to you before. So like I could no longer predetermine what someone was capable of based on past experiences. Because if I was going to put them in a box, then I was just putting myself in that same box. And all I wanted to do was transform.
Yep.
So I was like, everybody, was off the hook. Like, what can we do today? I just, and so in me like thinking like that, I was surprised again and again at how people would show me like different versions of themselves if I just allowed it. And then that like really made me think like, oh my God, this is me.
Yes, it is.
I really even realized like that was like a great lesson, just seeing that little change. I was like, oh my God, this really is just me. Like I'm the one creating everything here. And I know people say that, but I was feeling it because I was experiencing it. I was really getting it, what was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Creating of your own reality.
Totally. And versions of
And
everything.
it's so fun too, the life, getting to play with life when you do come to that point that you recognize that within you, I see myself, or whatever the situation may be, because it's not always easy and positive or happy-go-lucky. What if you could even just kind of not label any of it, and you just get to witness all that you're bringing into your life and everything that you're putting out there as well.
I know. I mean, I think that's just like kind of part and parcel of this experience, ascribing meaning to everything. But that being said, the minute we ascribe meaning to something, the minute we judge it is the minute we determine how we're going to experience it.
that's
Right.
it. Yes, and I think that's so important just to be with for a minute, because I know there were times in my life where this concept of creating your own reality, I'd be like, fuck you. Like, what? Like, shut the fuck up, right? Like, I'm not doing this to myself. I don't want this. I would never choose this. But as I experience change, like internal change, things do shift externally. And so I think sometimes people miss the boat on what that means for creating our own realities.
Yeah. Or let's say they want to change themselves, but then they don't allow the room for the external world to change. So like they're predetermining, I'm ascribing meaning. I know what you're capable. I know what you can show me. Well, then you've just totally limited all the possibilities of what that person can show you, because, it's that confirmation bias. Your mind, what you believe, your mind, is more readily going to
you will
pick
find it.
out. You're going to take it. So that's where they're missing the boat. They're like, I'm transforming, but then they don't give the room in their life to do the same, and then it's like a step forward or a step back.
Can you think back to previous versions of Julie? Were you always this curious?
Always.
Always.
Like, that is one thing that, I mean, growing up, we did not live in a neighborhood with kids. So it was the 70s, and I'd walk down to like the old folks' home on the corner, go down the basement. I mean, who knows where I was at, walking the tracks. There was like, I was free range. And so like, I remember just walking and thinking like,
Free ranged.
what's going on here? Weird
Yeah.
happens to people when I don't
know.
see them
Julie,
anymore.
Oh
Like
my
just
God.
these
Same shit.
macro.
You and I.
Very similar. It's wild.
Is it? I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go on.
And then, so anyway, I would always be thinking like that, but I wouldn't be expressing it. It was just like always in my head, these macro questions. And I like moved to Santa Fe when I was 22 and like just, always gravitating towards these experiences. And then I've also always had like super lucid dreams. Like I could remember all my dreams, like 3 dreams back. Like I could just super busy at night. And so I was like, what is that? What is that? I was just always questioning, curious. I was always curious. So when like the idea of exploring my consciousness is like, yes.
Thank you, playground.
Thank you. It's like the last frontier.
And I think this idea of, I'm curious in the work that you do with people, this idea of helping people get more comfortable with not knowing, because I think initially in the work, there's a lot of fear around that. So meaning if you're creating room for people to experience the world differently, people differently, themselves differently, I think sometimes there can be, at least in my work with people, there can be resistance to taking that approach because it seems so uncertain. And that, of course, is scary.
Right. You have the fear of the unknown.
Versus being able to I think once you can make that shift to seeing that as more possibilities, then there's like so much more freedom. But initially opening your mind to different possibilities, discovering for yourself or what may happen with other people seems very, there's a lot of resistance people have.
Well,
in
that's
that.
like the silver lining in hard experiences because you're in such a place of uncomfortability that you're finally willing to go to the unknown. That's why they're so catalyzing.
Okay.
That's why hard times are important because
Right.
otherwise we could all just stay in the same place. I'm good. I'm good right here. It's all good. But, we have these, what we would determine as difficult or negative experiences. But boy, don't they make us move?
Yeah, they
Indeed.
make us move.
And so like, is that what we need? Okay. And now, I'm now this uncomfortable that I'm ready to try something new. Oh, and didn't that work out well? Right. Like you can give yourself evidence. Like you're always finding an evidence of, okay, I went into the unknown. That wasn't bad. That was good. Okay. So I can bank that and do that again if I need to.
What were some of your most uncomfortable times in your transformation?
Well, okay, I'll think definitely is like Grayson dying was
Grayson.
like the hardest because it's my for the listeners, my 23-year-old son took his life. We were not expecting it. He was having a hard time. Yes. And so, in hindsight, now I know, but at the time, out of the blue. And so when something like that happens, it's just ground shaking. But but what I realized in that, and I realized it right away, which I'm so grateful for. Like, I realized that the 2 to 3 years preparation prior to his passing, working with psychedelics, being able to speak to energies, spirits. My dads were coming to me, other family members were coming to me. All these things were happening for those 2 years that was building evidence for me. I was seeing evidence that this was real. I was like beyond trusting it. I was knowing it. So I now know that was like for a reason. That was preparation, because then when he passed, like day 2 afterwards, I was like really rooted to the spot. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. he's not gone. I know where he's at. I'm going to go get him. I'm going to go get him. You know,
go get
I'm gonna
Grayson.
fucking get him.
Yeah.
And
When he
like
does
just like
show
this
up,
crazy
Grayson is here.
determination. And then so I went home and did a journey, and he was there. And he was like, I mean, you know, like when someone walks in the room, you know. And we had this incredible, you know, when I first heard his voice in my head, he was like, I'm so sorry, Mom, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, it's okay. We're here. I know where you're at. I know you're here. We're here. We can work with this. We can work with this. And then he proceeded to take me through like all these memories of his life from birth to death, things that I had remembered, things that I hadn't remembered, like all this beauty, all this like how happy he was. And okay, so then that then made everyone else in the family say, well, how is this happening?
Right.
So then I showed them how to connect. And then they all easily connected with him. More than that, Grayson was this like, you know, super powerful person in a body. You know, you'd walk into a room and the room would sway, and he's that way in spirit. So like people would just be calling us. Grayson is connecting to me, and he says, I got to give you this message.
Right.
And in my work now, he is always there connecting to everyone, and he'll even, you know, stay with them and continue to work with people.
While
It's
they're
like-
inside of the MDMA medicine space.
Yes, but even like when they go home, they're like, oh, Grayson's still with me. Oh, he's still helping me. And so it was like, I had to realize that even in an experience that is so difficult, so painful, there is a gift. Because I wanted, like, I had lived, like I was saying, when I before I had made this transformation, I was marking time till it was done. And so when I found this gift of this, like connecting to myself, I was like, how much can I transform? I'm going to devote the rest of my life to transforming as much as I can.
Thank you, Julie.
How much is it possible to transform in one lifetime? I'm going to figure this out. So, so that's always been my why. I'm like wanting to, you know, always not hold on too tightly so I can see what, you know, experience something new and exciting. So this horrible, horrible, horrible event of losing my son physically has now opened me up to experiencing my son across worlds in ways that I never could have imagined. I now realize, you know, that there are no boundaries, that the ideas of the veil and all these things that we imagine and we put in between us and the rest of us, spirit and who we are our own doing.
Yeah.
And so it's giving me a whole understanding of like potentialities, what's possible. And so it's like, it's beauty, it's pain, it's everything. That's been the hardest though. Like that was the hardest one to go through because I still, you know, feel the grief of missing his, his hug, his bear hug.
But the physical presence of Grayson, of course you still miss.
But you know, like you were in a in a journey once, and you came up to me like, "Oh, Grayson just told me I need to give you a hug." I've had so many people do that.
And he walked in once when I was with you doing an MDMA session, and he walked in. It was like he was making a sandwich.
Oh, right, like stepbrothers. Like, Mom,
stepbrothers.
making a sandwich. Totally.
So Grayson.
Yeah, and. And everyone, will tell me, their take on his energy. Oh my God, his energy is this and this. And so like, I get to experience him through everyone else too.
Yeah.
And our relationship is so deep. I mean, the things he tells me, and not just me, anybody in the family who wishes to connect with him, and not just in medicine, and, just in everyday like experiences beyond synchronicities, things like that.
Tell me a couple of those cool stories.
Oh God, there's
Some
just
of your favorites,
Todd's
anyway.
got a million of them that he's always happening. But for me, like one time I was facilitating a journey for a woman, and she was holding herself very tightly. She was having a tough time letting go in the medicine, and so I was just thinking in my head, I don't know if you're going to be able to help on this one today, love. And I say that, and then I've got a Spotify playlist. So it just plays my playlist. But suddenly Spotify kicks me a new song that I've never heard. And it's called, I can't remember the name of it, but it's by this band, Jay Chand plus Grayson. So like, he's like, well, I'm getting through,
like,
Mom.
here you go.
I'm getting through. And so, God, you know, like, I'll think of some as we go through here, but yeah, because there's been some just incredible.
But he's always here.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, yeah. Just the word Grayson is everywhere. Like I can't stop seeing people's coming up to me with their name Grayson or something. I had this incredible experience in Valley of the Kings, and I swear it was like him, and it was even the things he was saying to me. It was another person, but he looked just like him. And I was in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt, so it's already super high energy. And in a previous journey that he had been telling me how, like, you know, as a soul, you're continually learning. And he says that, like, he and I in the family can create anything we want together. We're not bound by any rules. It's totally up to us. Like, creativity is so much more free than we imagine. We're the only ones putting limits on what we can experience by our own beliefs and ideas and thoughts and things like that. So he's like, we can do whatever. And he's like, I'm learning how to put my energy into people so I can look at you through someone's eyes again. So like, you know, it's just crazy stuff. So I have this magical life happening, magical, mystical life that I would have never had, you know, hadn't that, you know, happened. Not that I wanted that to happen, but like you don't know what things will hold. You don't know what it's going to hold.
And Julie, were there moments or time in the pain of the physical separation where you felt like you had a choice, meaning like to go back to old Julie, or did you feel like that was never a choice in terms of navigating that grief with Gray?
Oh gosh. No, there was no going back to like old Julie, like reverting to that. No, I mean, once you expand and open yourself up to things, you can't not know it now.
You can't
unknow what you now know.
That's right.
So, no, it wasn't like a choice of that. It was, maybe that surrender, but like that surrender and wanting to experience a life of transformation, you got to surrender the last thing so you can experience the next transformation. So it's like, it's a constant surrender. Like, let's see. Or it's more like, instead of surrender, it's like, let's see.
Right.
Okay. Let's see what happens.
Right.
Let's see what
what's gonna
happens.
happen.
Yeah. Be curious. And something that I find myself thinking about intermittently with you is how there was this juxtaposition. I can't believe I said that word right.
Yeah,
I could
nailed
never
it.
say that
That's not
word,
easy.
juxtaposition. It's because I'm in keto right now.
Yeah.
My brain is working
She's-
very well.
Oh yeah.
2.0 over here.
But there was this juxtaposition of this, you know, I don't even know what the right word is. Loss seems like not the best word. This physical death. And then you also had just opened your heart to love. And with William.
Oh, right.
And
My William. Is
My
his name.
William.
Yes.
My
So I'm-
William.
I'm
My
curious, like, just, you know, you have two really extreme things there with, you know, death, grief, and then this big love.
Yeah.
I mean,
So many
obviously, I was like
explosive emotions.
so tender. I mean, like ripped open, so tender. But I will say, and I don't think it was just my experience. I'm thinking if you talk to Todd and Alex and Bond, there was no room in our heart for anything other than love. Like it's like I just got. That's the only thing I can feel right now.
Right.
Like anything else is too much. Like just love. Like I just want to, you know. And it wasn't like I'm loving you and I'm loving you. It was just like, okay.
Because you had known William for
Yeah.
How long?
Well, William moved in, so I met my partner in Egypt.
Tell us that love story.
That was amazing. Yeah,
I know.
Met him on the Giza Plateau at the base of the pyramids, and
Basic.
I know, right? And circumstances were that he moved in with me 2 weeks later. We were like, if we're gonna do this, let's just do this, because he was living in Nashville. He was not Egyptian. He's not Egyptian.
Okay.
He was living in Nashville, and so he moved in with me like December 1st, and then Gray transitioned on December 16th. So it was like I just had this, love, new relationship, and then this. And he was also going through something very, very difficult. So we were both in this like grief period. Just wide open and just very tender for like a year. But like,
I'm so grateful you found each other.
I know, me too. We have so much fun together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very special, that love. I remember when you my William.
Yeah. I know. He's like incredible. And it's funny because William and I and my ex and his wife, Alex, and, Bond, my younger son, and Haley were all like, we all get together and do things all the time. And it's just like a love bomb. So Grayson's transition also like brought us all close.
Together.
Even closer than we were. So it's like had all these incredible outgrowths that I could have never imagined. There's so much more love.
Yeah.
It's just changed everyone for the better. I don't know how that sounds. I mean, obviously, but I mean, it's made everyone really grow.
Yeah.
Really grow. Yeah.
And because of the expansion that you've had, how do you show up inside that partnership? Like having more access to yourself?
Oh, yeah. Oh, what this is, I tell people when they're like exploring in this MDMA, which is such a heart-opening thing. I'm like, this is a love journey. You get to fall in love with yourself. This is you falling in love with yourself. So I love myself. So my capacity to be loved and to love is just, like nothing ever before. So that's how I feel. I don't know how to frame it other than that. Like it's like a living thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you brought up the kids, you brought up Bond, and of course Grayson. And tell me about Hallie.
Haley. So Haley was Grayson's girlfriend.
Okay.
And she's like, she's family. So Alex and Haley and I, when it's the holidays, we just all get together. It's just girls. We're just like sisters.
Yeah.
We're not trying to put like a mother-daughter that label, like just sisters. And because we're all different ages.
Okay.
But
I like how you're sisters with the
yeah.
the younger women sisters.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, they're probably
I see you.
they're way younger. But
We're 28, aren't we?
Yes.
so Haley, is just part of the family.
Yeah,
So
Haley.
we just are constantly together.
A lot of
Yeah,
gifts.
a lot.
Grayson gave you guys a lot of gifts, continues to give you lots of love and lots of gifts.
Oh yeah, like I think we're
It's
just getting
amazing
going.
to me how the help of MDMA helped you process and move and continue to move through the grieving process. I wish other people had that type of experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this one experience that I know I could have never had without psychedelics. Okay, so we found him. Okay, and so I got to hold him for like an hour before the police came to cordon everything off. So I got that gift of just like holding him. I mean, it's super traumatic, but like I'm so glad I was able to do it. And then I was in the hallway and I was exhausted. I mean, I'd been screaming and crying like guttural, wailing. And I'm on my back and I'm just like coming in and out of consciousness. But every time I'm coming into consciousness, I'm like waking up like in pain, like this visceral pain. And then I'm passing out and I'm going through this back and forth. And then I realize, oh my God, this is just like his birth. Like I'm totally in labor here. Like I'm waking up in this crazy pain. And then like in this moment of horrible, crazy trauma, I have this total knowing that this is the cycle of life, that I'm birthing him into his next experience, that, you know, we've done this many, many times, and this is an agreement, and I'm, you know, he's with me. So there's no way I could have been that present to have that experience prior to connecting to and knowing that I have this wisdom within me, that I am this wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, so like not even.
It is that powerful.
Yes. Yeah. It's made the world of difference, you know, and then like just in walking in life, you know, you just kind of look at things on like multiple layers. Like before, I think, you know, people get caught up in watching like actions, like the actions of the world. Oh my God, it's chaos. What's happening out there? Everything is like chaos. If you're just watching the actions, the world looks totally incoherent and off its rails. But if you look beyond the actions and you like feel into what's being expressed, the feeling that's being expressed through the actions, you can see there's like tides and waves of the same feeling. You can like see this coherence. Everybody's feeling something similar. They're just acting on it differently. Okay. And so it's like, I wouldn't have looked at it like that before.
No.
I would have just been like, he's a dick. I'd never do that. That's not me. I'm not him. You know, I see someone,
There's
I don't
so
do
much
that.
more
But
judgment.
now I'll see like the feeling and I'm like, oh, I know that.
Right.
I know that. I know that feeling.
I know that feeling.
You know,
It's more connectedness.
yeah.
With everything.
With everything and everyone. It's like, I can
It's
see.
like connectiveness to the collective
yeah,
of all of it.
Yeah. When you feel into it, you're like, oh, I know that
I
feeling.
know that. Been there.
I know that.
I think, you know, when people talk about MDMA and, you know, it's described as an empathogen, which is literally what you just described. So some people might call it a heart opener. Some people might call it, you know, a connector. But you are very much present in your day-to-day without any psychedelics on board. And so how have you taken that experience and how do you live that every day? Like, what do you think helped you? So the reason I ask this is sometimes, you know, people will tell me about a psychedelic experience that they've had, or if a patient is, you know, seeking out psychedelics, that sometimes people have really big experiences with inside of psychedelics, but they don't bring it back. They don't weave it in. You know,
To
they
their
don't.
everyday
They
lives.
don't. Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
golden thread it into their everyday lives. How have you been able to do that?
Well, you know, number one, like it is a vein of gold when you have these experiences. So the point is to weave them into your life. But what we don't realize is that if we keep ourselves separate, we keep everything separate. It's like we can try to weave stuff in, but if we're practicing separation, seeing ourselves as being separate, then we keep everything separate. Everything is fractal. Everything is, you know, one of another. So it's like wholeness, like not saying that experience, that's me. You know, this is me. Like just realizing that is kind of like a catalyst to start having everything start to merge together. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I just think that, like, you know, as we start compartmentalize, like even like the parts, you know, searching for wholeness through parts, you know, picking apart our humanity in search of wholeness isn't going to get you there. It's like you're forever not going to be able to see the forest through the trees because you're looking at the parts. Do you know? You're the forest.
Right.
You're everything.
Yeah.
You're everything.
You're everything.
And so that allows you to weave it in because you no longer holding yourself separate. And that's what I know. That's just what I think about it.
What do you see next? What does Julie want?
So what's been happening is that my clients, you know, they have these. It's such a beautiful medicine that they have these beautiful experiences, and they want to go deeper and mentorship. And so I'm putting together a 3-month intensive program for that to help support their ceremonies. So the program is not ceremonies; it's in support of. It's like a mentorship. So that's what I'm working on, just to help people weave this in.
Right.
You know, help to not see themselves as separate, to give them everything they need to know, to help them just be really mindful and to make these changes. It's not hard unless you think it's going to be hard. You know, unless you say it's going to be hard. I mean, we have so much creative power. That's really what I want to help people realize, that they're already the most powerful creator they'll ever need to be. They're just not understanding the nature maybe of their creative power, you know, and what they're and how they're focusing it and what they're doing. And so I want to like just help them understand that, as well as allow the presence of all that they are to become embodied. It's like ascending master walking,
Right.
you know, to create some of those that we already are.
Combining the collective, bringing it all inside. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, to embody that aspect that they think that they're connecting to, that is something that they're thinking is separate from them, like helping them embody that as they're walking around. And then like, it's like a prism, you know, once you start and realizing that you're all this, that expanded sense of self then refracts into your world like a prism differently. And so the world changes.
Yep.
And then you got to leave room for the world to be different.
Yeah, I'm hearing a tremendous. And by the way, I'm going to have to listen to this episode like 10 times. There's like so much good stuff here.
So much good stuff.
But I'm hearing a lot of acceptance too.
Radical acceptance.
That I think is an important part of this transformation, because so often we have a desire for things to be different, or if things felt one way on a Monday and we really liked how they felt on a Monday, we'll try to recreate that experience on a Tuesday. And I was sharing with Heather this kind of silly example, but I was doing some body movement work, and I was basically swinging on a ring with my right arm, and it felt so incredible. On my right side, there was so much like expansion and stretching, and it was like just hit all the spots I wanted it to hit. And then it was time to do the left side, and the left side was nothing but like painful, and I was frustrated. And Paul, my movement coach, said, well, why can't the right side just be your right side experience? And why can't you just let your left side have its own experience without trying to shift and change that? So I've been playing with that. I'm curious because it's so fun for me, right? Because I don't have the history that you two have in terms of years. And as you speak, it brings up things that you've shared with me and vice versa. I'm curious, so you've heard what Heather sees in you through transformation. What things do you notice or shifts do you see in Heather from noticing her over the years?
Oh my gosh. It's just been such a pleasure, first of all, to go through this with you.
For Julie.
To go through this with you, you know?
Thank God for Julie.
And giving ourselves like so much grace as we like try to grow and just like be and learn and like make mistakes or you know, whatever they are, and just do. So what do I see in Heather? You know, I see just like you were talking about acceptance, like a real self-acceptance. Like, I think when I met you, you know, you were just the best at everything. You know, there was like a drive, like, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be the best. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to take it to as far as I can go, and I can take it. And there was that, you know, this drive, but you found like this perfect place in the middle now, where you still have that quality in you, but it's not like the only voice in your head. And so I think because you've made a lot more room, there's like a calmness, an even larger grace. That, you know, like when I'm saying grace, like grace for yourself, but like you carry yourself with even more grace now, I would say. And like the self-acceptance. Like, I'm all these things. You know, the older we get, we're like, I'm just everything.
Yeah.
We're like a mixed bag. And that's so cool. That's okay.
It's the best.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm you, you're me, you know? And so it's a pleasure. And same, Tracy.
It's fun. And this life on life's terms isn't for the faint of heart. We're not talking about things just always being rainbows and butterflies. Like the hard shit happens in life.
Yeah. And I would say, though, also, you are one of those people that I was talking about earlier. And I don't mean like one of those people, but recreate yourself again. Like, you've got so much creativity, creative energy flowing through you. Like, you're a great example for me to see, like, look at you, just, you know, I'm going to be this, you know, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do something different over here. And that, for someone that was really hard to, and that's still like a part of me, I really like honor and just like,
Oh, thank you.
and just like admire that
Thank
about
you.
you. I mean,
Thank you.
what you do in real estate and the photography that you have of you. I want to be you. I want to be you.
So cute. And I think
Thank you. I love
But
you.
your you know, your portfolio and the work you do, I mean, you're just like rising to the top. You just, you know, you're like the cream. You rise to the
Your
top.
vibe attracts your tribe, baby doll.
Yeah.
One and the same.
I love you. I love both
love
of
you.
you.
It's a big love
I
bubble in
know.
here.
I love you both too.
I love you so much, Tracy. Thank you so much for coming into my life, because I
God,
hadn't
I'm
met
so
you for a
fucking
long
grateful for
time.
you.
And then Heather was like, what's happening? Tracy's coming over. And we sat on the floor for like
was so
5
good.
hours.
Yeah, it was so.
I don't think we
so-
ever sit on furniture. And this is the first time we sat
No
on furniture
furniture.
together.
We don't need
It's always the
anything.
floor.
Yeah, for sure.
But just our authentic selves. And
Yeah.
you've always made space for that. So I love you.
I love
Thank
you
for
too.
always showing up.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh yeah. Thanks for the combo. and I do think that there's something different than I think many of us have experienced that being a chameleon when you're disconnected from yourself, and that's very different than transformation.
creativity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Transformation, creativity.
Yeah.
And it's because coming back kind of to the beginning of our conversation, that is how I've always seen you being able to fully embody yourself with creativity. You're such a beautiful creative woman, not only with design, but with energy and people and your style. Everything about you exudes creativity.
Thank you. I would say, you know, one of the things, you know, I love people.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
I love people.
Yes.
I love all
Same.
people. Like it's so fascinating. Like, kind of get over here. Tell me about yourself.
Yes.
Let's get into this. I love that. So, like, it's just like a constant source of, you know, just joy for me to meet everybody
Right.
from all walks of life and just have a good time.
You've traveled so much. Where are some of your favorite places you've been?
Well, for sure, Egypt, because before I went to Egypt, when I was working with MDMA, all the Egyptian gods and goddesses were coming to me, like Horus, and I had no idea. I was having to look them all up. So they're very meaningful. You know, they still come and talk to me and teach me and, you know, help me when I need. So Egypt is really important. And I love Peru. I don't know. I keep going back. I've been to Egypt 4 times in 2 years. So
oh my
like,
gosh, that's
it's right here. It's right here. And it's, you know, I never get tired of it. In fact, you know, even going back to the same places, there's always something new. And when you go to Egypt, if you're thinking about going to Egypt, there's something
I want to
there
go
like
with you and William.
you go and you all of a sudden you're having off the charts dreams. You're having these natural psychedelic experiences just from the energy there. So it's really powerful. You guys got to go. Come.
Yes.
We're leaving in 2 weeks.
Ooh.
Oh man, start packing the bags.
Okay.
In that red, was it a red suitcase? That suitcase
I
that you love so
love
much.
that.
You remembered. I know. So I can't
Matching
lose
bags.
it. So I can't lose it. Yeah, I'm excited to go. Yeah. What about you guys? Travel. What do you like?
Well, right now, Heather likes college tours.
I'm doing all the college tours.
Yeah. I mean, that's just
So fun.
You know, just to see it through Sam's eyes, I
Yep.
bet it's just
That's
really
what-
cool.
The best. And just being able to be present for him during all of that. I hardly, get to interact with him on all these official visits, but to see him light up or,
Yeah. What's the next chapter? It's huge. Like he gets to see, what would I feel like on this campus? What's this?
Yeah.
Is this my,
It's my new journey,
can I be here?
my new life.
Yeah.
What can I do? What can I build? How far can I go? Where can I fly? And, and I'm watching it
Yeah.
literally unravel right in front of me. It's so good. So
fun
yeah,
stuff.
just watching him move around is pretty special.
I love this. I love your setup. I think this is great. I love, just everything you're talking about, and you two together are great. Are
Let's
wonderful.
go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
LFG. Well, thanks for taking the time to share all things Julie today.
Thank you for asking me to
Yeah.
come on. I'm so happy to be part of it and to share, just to talk with you girls.
I feel like
it's always
I'm
my favorite thing.
charged up.
I
right?
know, I was thinking that just a few
And
seconds
I
ago.
was a dead iPhone before we started. Now just
Tesla battery.
I know. It was at 3:00 time. I had a cup of coffee before I got here.
being, no, I think it's being in your presence.
for sure.
Feels
Fun.
so good.
All right.
Love you, Miss.
I love you too. Thank you. I'll come back.
The content of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. The use of psychedelics, including those discussed in this podcast, may be illegal in certain jurisdictions, and we do not advocate or condone illegal activities. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making any decisions regarding your health, mental well-being, or the use of substances. Psychedelics can have profound effects, and it is essential to approach them with caution, awareness of the law, and under the guidance of licensed professionals where applicable. Use of any substances should be in accordance with local laws and regulations. We care about your well-being here at recoverHER.